I listened to Boris Johnson as he left Downing Street, and I didn't recognise his version of his record. He's left the country devastated in his wake. He's failed the country on so many levels, whether it's our economy, where we've got the lowest growth of any industrialised country bar Russia that's been sanctioned. We have inflation going through the roof with rocketing fuel, energy and food prices. We have record NHS waiting lists with a crisis in our healthcare system. This is his legacy. It's a dreadful one. It shows why he was unfit to be our Prime Minister in the first place. Well, I listened to Liz Truss over the summer during the Conservative leadership contest, and I was listening for a plan to help people who have been having sleepless nights over their future energy bills, for businesses who aren't investing because they're so worried about the future energy bills, and there wasn't a plan. And that was hugely disappointing. Liberal Democrats put forward a plan. We said there should be a freeze on energy bills, a freeze on the cap, and that should be paid for by a one-off tax on the huge super profits being made by the oil and gas companies, profits they never expected to make, and making on the back of President Putin's invasion of Ukraine. That would be a plan. But the only things we're beginning to hear rumours of is an idea which isn't a freeze, it's a loan. I think she seems to want everyone to have a loan, whether it's one of your viewers or whether it's a business, to have a loan which they'll then pay back over the next few years. That seems to be unfair and wrong. And I think the whole Conservative Party needs to go. That's why Liberal Democrats have said, let's first of all pass emergency legislation to cap people's energy bills, to help businesses with their energy bills this autumn, and then have a general election. You know, the Conservatives, I think, have lost trust with the British people. Last 12 months, Liberal Democrats have won 3 by-elections in safe Conservative seats, former Conservative seats. Their heartlands in Truebury, Buckinghamshire, and Seymour, Shropshire, they've held for 200 years, in East Devon, where we overturned the largest Tory majority ever overturned in the by-election. And what we found, talking to lifelong Conservative voters, were they felt the Tories had taken them for granted, they didn't understand them or care about them, and they switched to vote Liberal Democrat. So I think whether it's Johnson or Truss or anyone else, frankly, people want the Conservatives gone, and that's why we need an early election. Well, Liberal Democrats have a costed energy plan where we would freeze people's bills, give support to businesses, and we pay for that in 2 ways. The most important way would be for a one-off tax, a windfall tax, on the super profits of the oil and gas companies. These oil and gas companies are making tens of billions of pounds of profit that they didn't expect to make. They're making it because Putin invaded Ukraine, and they're making that huge profit on the back of that war. And it seems only right, therefore, that those windfall gains should be taxed to help pay for the support that millions of pensioners and families need. Our support for businesses, which is also crucial, will be paid for by reversing the tax cut that the Conservatives given to big banks. There was a tax on banks which the Conservatives are getting rid of, and we think that's the wrong priority when banks' profits are really increasing as interest rates go up, and we think we should use that money to help the small businesses who are really struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the windfall tax, because obviously this is...
Well, Liberal Democrats first advocated a windfall tax on the oil and gas companies back in October last year. And we've been campaigning for it. And when we've raised it in Parliament with the Conservatives, they've objected to it because they think that it will reduce investment. The problem is the CEO of BP, a company which would pay probably one of the largest windfall tax bills, said it wouldn't affect his investment. So even the oil and gas companies admit that the Conservative argument is actually wrong. So I don't really understand their position, frankly. It's as if they've got some vested interest that they're not being upfront about. We need to get some money into the exchequer. Everybody knows that. The only companies who are making huge amounts of profits, unexpectedly dramatically high profits, are the oil and gas companies, through getting the oil and gas from UK waters, permitted by the UK government to do that. It seems completely fair and reasonable that they should pay some of that into the Treasury so the Treasury can afford to help families and pensioners and businesses.